I'm excited to kick off this first video in a 3-part series breaking down a video that I directed, and I'm really excited to take you guys along to the entire process and how this happened. And so this first video is going to primarily focus on the concept, pre-production, planning, kind of showing you guys just what this project sort of entailed. And then parts 2 and 3 are going to be about how we shot it, so the entire production. You guys are going to see BTS on that. And then part 3 will be taking you guys into the post-production process, so both how the visuals were made that you see on the screens, as well as the editing process to really bring this video together. And this old TV is not here by mistake. If you guys are interested in learning what is up with that, I'm going to be getting to that later on. And before we get much further, I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys some clips from the final videos. If you guys are interested in watching the full thing, there will be links below.
I know you don't need but you say that you want me. Oh, you could be doing fine alone, but still you chose to stick with me. Wish I didn't want to leave, because I know it's hard for you, and a lot of it's hard for me. Wish I could shed a couple tears and paint it bittersweet, because I said if you've got my love, oh baby, you've got my love. Let's dance the night away, that tomorrow never comes.
I'm calling this project Live at the Dock, and this was my first passion project that I've really ever put my time and resources behind, and I'm excited to kind of take you guys through how we pulled this off. And so this was a live music capture for 2 bands, and the heart here was to bring together friends and to do something DIY. And so just kind of bringing together different talents and skills from friends that I have, and to do a live music capture that was really creative and compelling. And the big feature of this live music capture was these custom visuals. And so I made these custom visuals to all the songs from scratch and just had a lot of fun with the process. I'm going to get to that later on if you guys are interested in how I made those using this old TV, along with a bunch of other free assets. I'm excited to share that with you. This project ended up being 4 videos in total. We did 2 songs for each band, and I do need to give a shout out to Logan Murphy, who handled all of the audio on this. I could not have done this without him because we were recording video and audio live. And so shout out to Logan, as well as John Stambaugh. If you guys have seen his stuff on YouTube, he's a great friend of mine, and he was able to shoot all of the BTS footage that you guys are going to see in this one. So the 2 bands were Familiar, which is actually Logan's band, and Joy Camp, which is my band. And so I drum in a band called Joy Camp. Logan drums and produces for a band named Familiar. And both of us write indie rock, kind of indie pop stuff out of Kansas City. And we're all just friends who enjoy working together. We've played shows together, and so it was fun to get to do a combined project together. So I wanted to start with how I landed on this concept. Because this was me and Logan's project, I was kind of tasked with coming up with what this would look like visually. And so my original idea was to get access to a large LED wall and probably do something with visuals, and then like a large soft top light. And so I was imagining us shooting in some type of warehouse space or something, but yeah, that starts the beginning of just the failed ideas that did not work out. And so, yeah, this first one for the LED wall, we got shot down a few times by some people that we asked because the quotes that we were getting to have an LED wall for a day were upwards of like $10,000. I don't know if that's normal for you guys, but that was definitely not feasible for a budget project that we were paying for out of pocket. After getting a few quotes and just realizing that that was a dead end, it was kind of time to go back to the drawing board. As I was thinking about the project, the idea of using projectors came to me. And so this brings us to, idea number 2. And so I didn't know exactly how this was going to work, but I was like, I think if we used projectors that were bright enough, they could be both the screen and the lighting. And, I had never done something like this before, but I had this initial idea of having 3 different walls sort of surround the band in a box. And so I'll show you guys kind of what this initial concept looked like in my brain. This got me excited. It seemed doable. There was a lot more that I needed to figure out, but at least, we had a direction. As I sat with this idea, I still wasn't sure how we were going to build the screens and how exactly this would work, but I ended up realizing that if we have 2 projector screens that are across from one another, the light that's shining, onto one wall is going to wash out the other one. And when you're working with projectors, just controlling the lighting that's hitting the screen is really important to maintain contrast. And so basically realized that this wasn't going to work, that I needed to come up with a new idea. And so, the final concept ended up being what you guys see, which is it's still a box, but it's shooting into the corner of, kind of 2 walls. And this utilizes 2 projector screens. It ended up being kind of like the perfect thing because the lighting spreads really evenly to all the band members as the visuals change. So I'm going to show you guys just this hand-drawn sketch from my journal as I was trying to come up with the parts that I needed to rent and how we were going to pull this off. This was the initial idea. This brings us to the screens. I ended up using just plastic from Home Depot. And so I think these are drop cloths that you can use for painting, but they were quite thick, but you could get quite a large sheet of them for really cheap. The idea was to project through the backside of this plastic to emulate projector screens. And so as this concept sounded great in my head, I was still not super confident that it would work. And so I own a cheap projector, so I decided to just go buy some of this plastic from Home Depot and do a few tests in my house. And so you guys are going to see some footage of just some initial tests. If you've seen my other work, I love testing stuff at home. And so, I was actually quite pleased with the contrast that I was getting and just this initial kind of run of how the projector screens would work. I felt very encouraged after these tests that this was going to be the direction that we needed to go. The next phase in planning these videos was all the calculations. And so the first thing was the screen size. I know that I wanted the visuals to be sort of like floor to ceiling to cover the whole band. So I was estimating that they needed to be about 10 feet tall. And, it was perfect because that was the size of the plastic actually. And to get a 16:9 aspect ratio, they ended up being 17 feet and 17 inches wide. The next calculation that I needed to figure out was how large of a room I needed to film this video in, because if you guys know about projectors, they have to be a certain distance away from the screen in order to be, as wide as you want. And the farther you go away, the less bright they're going to be. And so, I'm going to show you guys this website that I found. It was super handy when doing all these calculations. And so, I learned that I needed to be about 14 feet 9 inches away from the screen. And so this helped me when I was, beginning to look at locations, making sure I had a place that had enough room for us to build an entire area for the band, as well as, go another 15 feet on each side for the projectors. And so moving on to locations, again, we went through a bunch of failed iterations. The initial spot was going to be with the LED wall, and it was going to be in sort of a warehouse space. But after we got the quote for, $10,000, we moved on. We looked at another warehouse that was connected to a church, but we could not get availability locked in. There was a partially finished home studio that, it was going to be very cold, but potentially was going to work. But after doing those calculations that I needed 15 feet on either side, we also learned that this location was not going to work out. At times it was easy to get discouraged, but I kept looking. I knew that we needed to find something relatively affordable. And yeah, we ended up finding this space that we ended up shooting in. It was perfect. It actually was a coffee shop with a little auxiliary gym that was connected to it. And guys, these are just the places that when you keep looking, you find. I ended up having a personal connection to the owners, and they graciously gave us a really good deal on renting out this space, and was really glad that I kept looking, because this ended up being the ideal location for us. As far as shoot days, we did this in 1.5 days. We did a sort of half-day setup day the night before to get most things dialed in, and then we were there most of the next day just getting stuff dialed in with both bands and then getting takes. So all in all, we did this in about 1.5 days, and was super thankful that we did, because that seemed to be plenty of time to not feel rushed. As far as budget, this was incredibly DIY, and we were trying to spend as little money as possible. And so, yeah, there was no budget, because this was all coming out of either my pocket or Logan's pocket. And I don't even think we had a number in mind of what we were hoping to spend. We were just like, hey, let's do it DIY as cheaply as possible. And so, yeah, I'll put up some numbers here of just what we ended up spending on these videos, and hope it encourages you guys to show, just when you pull friends together and you pull on the resources that you do have, what you can really pull off. And that's something that I just wanted to tell you guys about. I think we only landed on this final concept because we embraced limits and constraints. We embraced the limits of, our wallet, and restraints where, not any room was going to work. We needed a room that was, this exact size, that fit the vision for our video. And so we just encourage you guys with that. Lean into whatever limits and restraints that you have and make the most. When it comes to crew for this project, we had about 20 people, which is the biggest set that I've ever been on. And to my surprise, when asking my friends to come onto this project for free, everybody said yes, which was amazing. And that's why we ended up with so many people. I did not think everyone would say yes. We had me plus 6 camera operators, someone on BTS photo. Logan was handling audio and had an assistant. There was 5 additional band members, 4 production assistants, and then a few people that just stopped by for setup or while we were recording to check it out. As far as gear, stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to get into, what we used to shoot this project, the rentals that we needed, and just all the equipment that we used to pull this off. I hope it's encouraging to you. I really just wanted to bring my friends together to do something fun where there wasn't a client or budget constraints, and just have a good time. And so, I was really proud of not only how the videos turned out, but just how graciously everyone contributed their gifts. And I felt super blessed by all my friends getting to come together for this. So let me know down below if you guys have any questions just based on your initial understanding of the project. I'm going to do my best to answer those as I go, and we'll potentially be doing a Q&A at the end if there's a bunch of questions that I feel like would be better suited for a video like that. Hope this was helpful and inspiring. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.